With so many options in the true wireless earbud market, it's tough to decide which ones you should pick up. Well, I'm here to make that decision much easier for you. I've taken the time to test out a ton of different options to bring you my top 5 noise canceling earbuds for under 50 bucks. Now, if you're interested in picking up any of the options that I talk about in this video, make sure you check out the links in the video description right down below. Also, make sure you stick around to the end of the video so you can hear some of the microphone quality samples that I'll be including for you. So now, let's not waste any more time. And in 5th place, we've got the JLAB Jbuds Air ANC. So these are featuring Bluetooth 5.2 along with AAC and SBC as their connection codecs. On top of that, they do feature single usage mode, and this is where you can use each of these earbuds independently while the other one is charging in its case. On top of that, they do feature what they're referring to as a movie mode, or what I call a low latency mode. And basically this will reduce latency between the sounds that you hear and the person's mouth moving on the screen. It also works very well if you're a casual mobile gamer, if you want to play some Call of Duty, anything like that. It'll actually reduce that latency quite a bit, so it'll make the gaming experience much better overall. Now, when it comes to battery life, these are featuring 8 hours on a single charge with an additional 30 hours in the case. So overall, very good. And then when it comes to recharging the case itself, they do have their own built-in USB-A cable right there. So pretty convenient. Now, when it comes to the comfort of the JLAB Jbuds Air ANC, they're actually very comfortable for me, but these are chunky boys. So let me go ahead and pull one out of the case for you so you can see. These are not the smallest of earbuds on the market, so they're a bit on the chunky side. They do have some cush fins that go around here so that you can kind of size them up to make them a bit more comfortable for yourself. But as I said, they are a little bit on the chunky side as far as earbuds go, so smaller ears should beware. You know, if you have small ears, you may want to skip these, but overall, an excellent choice for people with medium or larger sized ears. Now, as you can see here, I am using SpinFit CP1025 ear tips. They offer me much better grip than the included tips. If you're interested in those, I'll be leaving links to those in the description box right down below. No issues with popping them in the case. Obviously, I can drop them right back in there. No issues with charging whatsoever. No issues there. And then for people who want to use their earbuds for working out, these are totally going to have you covered. They do carry an IP55 water and dust resistance rating, so not going to be any issues with getting them wet, anything like that. Now, I wouldn't submerge them completely, but if you're going to be working out or maybe walking out in the rain, it's not going to be an issue for you. Now, when it comes to actually controlling these earbuds, they are featuring full touch controls, and they control literally everything from volume, track controls, built-in EQ modes, answer and ending phone calls. I mean, everything. Everything under the sun can be controlled by the touch controls on these earbuds. So they do offer you everything, and they are quite responsive in my personal opinion. So now let's move over to a little bit of the performance. And let's first up talk about the ambient mode. And the ambient mode on these is actually surprisingly good. It is clear and it is loud, but it does have a bit of a processed sound. So it's not going to be the best ambient mode on this list, but overall it does get the job done quite well. If you want to maintain situational awareness, if you're outdoors, walking around, things like that, it's going to have you covered. And then moving over to the active noise cancellation, these are actually bringing strong ANC performance. That's one of the things that really caught me off guard with these guys. It's actually far better than I had expected, and easily one of the best ones on this list for sheer noise cancellation power. Overall, very good noise cancellation performance. Now, when it comes to sound, first up, let's talk about the volume. So the JLAB Jbuds Air ANC are coming in at a 9 out of 10 on my own personal volume scale, which is very loud. So definitely going to have you covered if you're somebody who likes to listen to their music loud. Now, when it comes to the sound quality, JLAB is offering you 3 EQ presets that are built right into the earbuds. You get a JLAB signature sound, which is the standard V shape. You get their balanced sound, which is a mid-range boost, and then you have a bass booster. So overall, those are the 3 options that you get with these. So in their signature sound, which is just the way they come right out of the box, it's going to be a very V-shaped sound. It's going to be dynamic and bouncy. You're going to have big bass. It's going to have good sub-bass rumble as well, but the mids will be a bit recessed, in my personal opinion. So for me, I actually prefer the balanced preset. That's the one that gives them the mids boost, but you still get that bass impact as well. So overall, very good. You get the punchy bass, you get improved mid-range, you get clearer vocals. So overall, it's a very fun set of earbuds to vibe out with. You know, if you're listening to hip hop or rock, anything like that, totally going to be fine with the Jbuds Air ANC here. All right, so now let's move over to number 4. And in 4th place, we've got the Qcy Ht03. So these bad boys right here. And they come in this like stellar black case, kind of has this like sparkly metallic black finish. Kind of a trip, kind of a weird paint job, but hey, cool, I'm with that. Now, these are featuring Bluetooth 5.1 along with AAC and SBC as their connection codecs, and they also feature single usage mode, basically where you can use each earbud individually while the other one is still charging in its case. In addition to this, these also feature a low latency mode. So if you want to do any sort of mobile gaming, or if you want to enjoy your movies and videos from YouTube, totally going to have you covered when it comes to that. When it comes to battery life, these are featuring 5 hours on a single charge with an additional 20 hours on the case. And then charging the case itself, you're going to be able to use their USB-C port right on the bottom right there. Unfortunately, there is no wireless charging with the Qcy Ht03s. Now, when it comes to comfort, the earbuds themselves, let me go ahead and pull one out of the case for you right here. So these are using a stem style design. So very comfortable, kind of AirPod-like in a sense. So overall, very good comfort for me. Highly compatible with both medium and large ears. Small ears, probably not going to be too much of an issue if you have smaller ears, but tip choice obviously is going to come into play here. Now, once again, I am using the SpinFit CP1025s with these guys. So overall, a very good seal for me and much more comfortable. So overall, very, very good. Now, if you want to use these for working out or any sort of exercise, things like that, they do carry an IPX5 rating, so they will have you covered as far as splash resistance or anything along those lines. Now, when it comes to controls, these are featuring full touch controls. They are very responsive, and you can adjust them in the app. And if you look here, you see a little bit of a divot right there. That's right on the front of the earbud, and that's where the touch control is. So it's actually quite easy to find. You know, once you get the hang of it, you can feel for it, and you can easily control these earbuds. Now, the touch controls are also adjustable within the Qcy app, so if you want to make some adjustments to those controls, you can totally do that. Now, speaking about the Qcy app, so here we have the app itself here on my Google Pixel 6 Pro. That's, you can see the little pop-up there that shows you the battery life for them. You hit more settings right here, and it's going to take you over to the earbuds themselves. So in here, you can see the left earbud. You can adjust a single tap, the double tap, and the triple tap on either side. So you have both choices there. And then you'll also have some sound effects here, which is some EQs. You can actually go in there and do a customized EQ, or they do give you 5 different presets, but here's what I'm going to say. I would not mess with those EQs. Not at all. Their default EQ sounds very good. I would just leave it like that, because the other EQ presets, they downright suck. So I wouldn't mess with those. They do have a customizable EQ, so if you want to get in there and mess around with it, you can. But those presets, yeah, I would just leave those alone if I was you. Aside from that, below this, you do have the actual noise controls. So you have active noise cancellation, you have your transparency mode, and you have your normal mode. Below that, you do also have the gaming mode toggle and firmware updates. So overall, they give you some pretty decent options when it comes to the app support for the Qcy Ht03. So now let's move over to some of the performance. And first up, it's going to be the ambient mode. And that's what they call transparency, ambient mode, same thing. This is basically where you activate the microphones so you can hear kind of what's going on around you. With these QCYs, the ambient mode is aight. That's the best way that I can put it. It's not the best around. It lacks a bit of clarity. It sounds a bit processed, could use a little bit more volume. If anything, something that would be helpful would be for them to add a volume slider for the transparency mode in the app. And that way you can adjust the strength of it. Maybe just adding a little bit more volume would give us a bit more usage out of it. I don't know. That's just me. A little constructive criticism there. Now, moving over to the active noise cancellation, with ANC, the Qcy Ht03s are actually surprisingly good. They are using a hybrid ANC, and it works surprisingly well. One of the better performers in this list. Very good against engine noises, very good against steady sounds, but even can tamp down some, crowd noise and things of that nature. So overall, I was actually pretty impressed with the overall active noise cancellation performance of these earbuds. Now, when it comes to sound, let's talk about the volume. So these are getting a 9.5 out of 10 in my volume scale. So very loud, more than loud enough for anything I'm going to need personally. But if you're somebody who needs a bit more volume, you want to rock out a little bit louder, they're totally going to have you covered. Now, moving over to the sound quality on these is a very warm V-shaped sound. They've got excellent bass response. They've got some strong sub-bass rumble that you can feel. The mid-range on them is like neutral-ish, so it is very smooth, comes in nicely. You're getting some good vocal clarity. The treble is good. There's no issues with that. There's no harshness in it or anything along those lines. So overall, the sound quality is really what surprised me about these, because it was a brand that I had heard of, but not really known for sound quality per se. But overall, it's actually surprisingly good. So now before we move over to the number 3 spot, let me hit you with a quick question. When you get a new set of earbuds, headphones, or speakers, what's the kind of music that you like to listen to like test them out? Is it rock? Is it soul music? Is it funk? Is it reggae or Latin music? Let me know. Let me know what kind of music you're using to test out your new earbuds and headphones when you first get them. If you want to kick me some songs, leave those down in the comments as well. I'd love to hear that stuff. So now let's move over to the number 3 spot. And in third place, we've got the Tozo NC7. So these guys are coming with Bluetooth 5.0. They're also using AAC and SBC as their connection codecs. On top of that, you do get single usage modes, so you can use them independently while the other is charging inside of the case. When it comes to lag or latency, there's little to none to be had here when you're watching videos or if you're doing some casual mobile gaming. Unfortunately, there isn't a low latency mode, so if you're a competitive gamer, you may want to look elsewhere. Now, when it comes to battery life, they are giving you 8 hours on a single charge with an additional 32 hours within this case. As far as charging the case itself, they do use USB Type-C right here on the back, but this case is also wireless charging compatible, so you can use either option, whichever you prefer. Now, when it comes to comfort, they are using a very ergonomic design and shape, so overall very compatible with my large ears. So as you can see here, if you kind of take a quick glance at them, they're very reminiscent of the Jabra Elite 75T, so kind of surprising how similar they look, if you ask me. So now you can see them a little bit closer here. Very, very ergonomic design, and not a huge earbud by any means. Now, as you can see here, I am using a SpinFit CP360 tip. That's going to give you added grip and exceptional comfort. So that's the tip that I'm using with the Tozo NC7. But overall, these are very comfortable for me. One thing I would say though, be careful if you've got smaller ears. These might be an issue for you. This might touch in your conscious, so just be careful, but this is still an option. They're not the biggest earbuds, but they're also not the smallest. But for me, very, very comfortable. If you want something for working out, these are also carrying an IPX6 rating, so very good for workouts. Sweat and water resistance, not going to be a problem for you. Now, when it comes to controlling the Tozo NC7, they are using full touch controls, and you get control over everything. On top of that, they're also going to give you in-ear detection, so you will get the automatic play pause feature. If you're pulling them out of your ears to talk to someone, it's going to stop your music automatically. So kind of a cool feature to have here, and not something you normally see on earbuds in the sub $50 market. Now let's move over to some performance. So ambient mode on these is on par with the previous 3. It could use a little bit of improvement. Doesn't surprise me considering the price point that we're at. It works. You can still hear your surroundings. If you're, walk around in traffic or anything like that, you can hear cars coming up on you. So you still maintain some situational awareness, but it could definitely use some improvement. But when it comes to the active noise cancellation side of things, this is very impressive, which is not a surprise for me coming from Tozo, especially being that I've tried out both the Tozo NC2 and the Tozo NC9. The NC7s are no slouch when it comes to active noise cancellation. It is quite impressive here. Very good at blocking out, low mid-range sounds like engines, things of that nature, bathroom fans, air conditioning units, whatever, stuff like that, including some crowd noise as well. So very, very good at that. But now let's talk a little bit about the sound. So as far as volume is concerned, I'm going to give these an 8.5 out of 10 in my own volume scale. So they do get loud, but for some people who are really into having super high volume earbuds, these might not be it for you. For me, more than enough. But when it comes to sound quality itself, these are going to be bouncy and dynamic. They've got punchy bass, nice and strong, comes in with a nice kick. You're going to get that good sub bass. That's that rumble that you can feel. There's no muddiness in that bass. The sound is very mid forward. So you're going to get a lot of vocal clarity. There's going to be nice mid-range to these. So good vocals. The treble is nice and crisp, a little bit brighter than the other ones on this list, but still no harshness or anything like that. So overall, the sound quality and the ANC strength are what solidified their third place position in my list. So now let's move over to the number 2. And in second place, we've got the Realme Buds Air 2 Neo. So these guys are using Bluetooth 5.2 along with AAC and SBC as their connection codecs. You can also use each one of these independently while the other one is charging in the case. On top of that, you also get the option of a low latency gaming mode. So if you're going to be watching movies, you're going to be doing any sort of mobile gaming, these are totally going to have you covered with excellent performance when it comes to both gaming and watching your videos. When it comes to battery life, they are going to give you 5 hours on a single charge with an additional 23 hours in the case. They also feature fast charging, so when you drop these earbuds back into their case, for 10 minutes you can get an additional 3 hours worth of playback time. So pretty dope if you ask me. On top of that, when you want to charge up the case, they do have a USB-C port right on the back. Unfortunately, there is no wireless charging with these, but overall still a great feature set if you ask me. Now, overall, these are actually quite comfortable for me and my large ears. I'm going to go ahead and pull one out of the case here. So as you can see here, so a very compact earbud design. So very comfortable, very ergonomically shaped. So overall, pretty good if you ask me. High compatibility with both large, medium, and some of these smaller ears out there. Tip choice obviously is going to be key here. I'm using, once again, the SpinFit CP360s, superior seal, superior materials, so I definitely like to use these on my earbuds, as you can see, but overall, very, very comfortable for me. Now, if you go on to use these for working out or anything like that, they also carry an IPX5 rating, so they're going to have you covered for sweat and water resistance. Now, when it comes to controlling the Realme Buds Air 2 Neo, they do feature touch controls, but there is no single tap and there is no volume control. But the controls themselves are responsive, and inside of the Realme Link app, you can make some adjustments to what exactly it is that you are controlling. Now, speaking of the Realme Link app, here you have it right here. Right at the top, you can see the actual earbud batteries themselves. You get noise control, so you get your control over the noise cancellation, the normal mode, and the transparency. You also get mode switching. This will allow you to pick exactly which switches you get when you're doing controlling the ANC via the earbuds themselves. Then you get some sound effects. So this is basically 3 EQ presets. You get bright, you get dynamic, and you get bass boost. For me, the bright is overall the better sound. It gives you much more treble clarity, more vocal clarity, so this is the sound that I personally prefer. But if you want that thump, they can definitely bring that. So below that, you also get a volume enhancer, which is something that you rarely see this on earbuds, but it will give you an additional volume boost if you need it. Below that, you do have your gaming mode. And then below this, you also have your auto answer and your button settings. So if you want to go in and change what those button functions do, they're going to have you covered there. So now let's get into a little bit of the performance. So let's talk about the ambient sound. Now, the ambient sound for the Realme Buds Air 2 Neo is actually surprisingly good and better than many of the other options under 50 bucks. Is it perfect? No, but it comes in pretty clear. It actually has good volume to it, and it isn't overly processed. So actually quite surprising, and really impressed me here for what you're getting here at such a low price. Now, when it comes to the active noise cancellation strength is excellent. Now, tip choice, once again, is always going to be key here. When I used the included ear tips, the noise cancellation didn't feel as strong, but when I got a better seal with the SpinFit tips, I did experience the full power of the noise cancellation. It is definitely better than I had expected. So easily one of the best ones on this list. Now, moving over to the volume. Now, without the volume booster turned on, it was already a 9.5 out of 10. So it was already really loud. But when you turn the volume booster on, it's like an 11 out of 10. They get really way louder than anybody's going to need them to be. So if you're somebody who needs a lot of volume, these can definitely bring it. Now, moving over to the sound quality itself, the sound quality, this is bass head tuning. Straight up. Like if you're somebody that's in the bass head crew, like bass head crew, if you're one of the bass head crew, then yeah, the Realme Buds Air 2 Neo are for you. So definitely bass head tuning here. 3 EQ presets, as I said before. I do prefer the bright because it gives you a little bit more treble clarity, but there is, their dynamic and there is their bass booster if you really want to bring that thump. There's deep sub bass. The mids are sort of neutral-ish. They can border on being recessed sometimes, but I mean, it is what it is. This is just the way that these are tuned. The treble is okay. It comes in nice and clean. There's a little bit of stage there. There's a little bit of separation, especially if you have really good source audio tracks, like some live recordings. It can actually sound surprisingly good and natural. But overall, it's really a bass head type of tuning here. So for me, overall, the Realme Buds Air 2 are a good all-around performer, and their strength with noise cancellation, with ambient sound, the app support, and the bass head tuning definitely solidifies their place in second place here. Now, finally, we've got first place. And in first place, we've got the Soundpeats T3. So these are featuring Bluetooth 5.2 along with AAC and SBC as their connection codecs. They're also using single usage mode, so you can use them independently while the other one is charging in its case. Now, these are not featuring any sort of a low latency gaming mode, but in my testing for both video and for casual gaming, there was little to no latency to be had. But when I'm playing something like Call of Duty, the story was a little bit different. There's a little more noticeable latency there, but it wasn't enough to become distracting. So you can totally use it. But if you're competitive, you might want to find something with a gaming mode. Just putting that out there. Now, when it comes to battery life on the Soundpeats T3, you are going to get 5.5 hours on a single charge with an additional 16 hours in this case. Now, they do feature fast charging, so you can get a full recharge in just 90 minutes. Charging the case itself, they do have a USB-C port right here on the side, so they've got you covered for that. Now, when it comes to comfort, these are actually quite comfortable for me personally. They are using a compact stem style design. Very compact, so it isn't the largest earbud on the market, especially of this stem style design. There are some that come in, much bigger than this. So very compact, very discreet overall for a stem style design. And I like the black look with the ghosted lettering, makes it a bit more stealthy in my personal opinion. Now, as you can see here, once again, I am using a SpinFit CP360 tip. As I've said many times, these are my tips of choice here. Very comfortable, better seal, and better performance overall. And if you want to use the Soundpeats T3 for workouts or exercise, they do come with an IPX4 rating, so they will have you covered for some basic splashes, things of that nature, but I would definitely not fully submerge these in water. Don't jump in the pool while you're wearing these, basically. Now, when it comes to controls, the Soundpeats T3 are featuring full touch controls. You get control over everything, and they are quite responsive. Volume, track control, play, pause, all of it included right on the earbuds. So they've definitely got that hammered out quite well. Now, moving over to some performance here. First up is going to be the ambient mode, and the ambient mode is going to be very good. Truly impressive for something at this price point, and the best in this entire group. So the volume on it is louder. It comes in much clearer and definitely less processed than all of the others. That was one of the things that really caught me off guard here. Definitely a great improvement over a lot of the other options in the sub $50 market. When it comes to noise cancellation, this is also quite strong, and it's the most effective in this group at blocking out crowd noise and low frequency noises like engines, air conditioning units, and things of that nature. Definitely the most effective noise cancellation and ambient sound of all 5 on this list. Now, moving over to sound. So volume on these guys comes in at 9.5 out of 10, so very loud. More than enough volume for me and for most people, if you ask me, in my personal opinion. Now, moving over to the sound quality. Now, Soundpeats is no slouch. For people that have been following true wireless earbud market for a while, you've heard the name Soundpeats. They're making some of the better options on the market right now, and these are no slouch. You're getting excellent overall tuning, strong bass response, excellent sub bass. Like I said before, if you're a bass head, man, they're going to bring it for you. Trust me on that. So smooth mid-range as well. Excellent vocal clarity. Both male and female voices come through quite clear, so no issues with that. There's even a bit of soundstage and some instrument separation in there as well, which really caught me by surprise. Overall, the treble itself is very crisp. There's no fatigue, there's no harshness, there's no sibilance to it. Overall, very, very good. Now, the sound, the ANC, the ambient mode, and the ease of use is what put the Soundpeats T3 at the very top of my list for earbuds under 50 bucks. So now, let me go ahead and hit you with some microphone quality samples of all 5 of these back to back so you can see how well they all perform and which one is going to work best for you. All right, so here we have the microphone quality test for the JLAB Jbuds Air ANC. So testing, 1, 2, 3. As you can see, I'm indoors in a semi-quiet room. So testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, so here we have the microphone quality test for the Qcy Ht03. So testing, 1, 2, 3. Once again, I'm indoors in a semi-quiet room. So testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, so here we have the microphone quality test for the Tozo NC7. So testing, 1, 2, 3. Obviously, I'm indoors once again in a semi-quiet room. So testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, so here we have the microphone quality test for the Realme Buds Air 2 Neo. So testing, 1, 2, 3. Obviously, I'm indoors once again, semi-quiet room. So testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, so here we have the microphone quality test for the Soundpeats T3. So testing, 1, 2, 3. Obviously, I'm indoors once again in a semi-quiet room. So testing, 1, 2, 3. And here we have the JLAB Jbuds Air ANC in a simulated crowd noise environment. So something like a crowded bar or maybe a busy restaurant, something along those lines. So testing, 1, 2, 3. And here we have the Qcy Ht03 in a simulated crowd noise environment, something like a crowded bar or maybe a busy restaurant, something along those lines. So testing, 1, 2, 3. And here we have the Tozo NC7 in a simulated crowd noise environment, something like a crowded bar or maybe a busy restaurant, something along those lines. So, testing, 1, 2, 3. Alright, so here we have the Realme Buds Air 2 Neo in a simulated crowd noise environment. So, something like a crowded bar or maybe a busy restaurant, something along those lines. So, testing, 1, 2, 3. Alright, and here we have the Soundpeats T3 in a simulated crowd noise environment. So, something like a crowded bar or maybe a busy restaurant, something along those lines. So, testing, 1, 2, 3. As always, you're going to have to be the judge of the call quality down in the comment section. So with all of that out of the way, if you're interested in checking out some of my other options for earbuds under $100, check out the video that I'm going to leave for you right up here on the screen. With that said, I'm out of here. Peace.